All right, let's talk 7 takeaways from Ebisu Drift Matsuri Fall 2022. Let's go. So instead of doing the typical vloggy style video, I just enjoyed the event, enjoyed hanging out. Like so much of what I do is either shooting video by myself, editing video by myself, fulfilling orders for Nerd Gold by myself. So like just to be in the group and hanging out, like it was just like a very welcome change that I really kind of enjoyed. This is my 4th Drift Matsuri over the span of 10 years. 2011 in a boost up Salady. 2015 I had a T25 Koki 180SX, and then last year and this year I went just riding along, hanging out with the Sakata Motors guys, and it was Hiroshi in his black S15 with now had a G25 550 on it, Yoshi in his blue S15 that had a 2867 on it, and then Matsuzaki-san's white Z33 that's just your average seat time Z33. A lot of my audience is probably Honda people who maybe have heard about Drift Matsuri, or they think drifting is just like out there destroying cars, and it's really not. If you are considering drifting, don't write it off. Like, have an open mind and let's check it out. Number 1, the rise of the C35. So I was kind of like mentally prepared, or like really wanted to observe kind of what was the next it car happening at Matsuri. I thought it was gonna be a Z33 for sure, and I think there's maybe 4, maybe? It wasn't Z33s. I think what I saw more than anything was C35 Laurels, Laurel or Laurel, whatever you want to call it. But it's basically a Nissan's JZX100. It's kind of a cool look. It's a 4-door. It's a RB25 DET, so you got turbo, RB25 2.5 liter turbo, same as a Chaser or JZX100. Suspension chassis-wise, it's a FR platform, so it's all built on S chassis, front and rear subframes, arms, knuckles, everything. Like it's basically a 4-door S chassis. I feel like that's like the next up-and-coming chassis, just because it's like a platform people probably know with like the turbo, the 6-cylinder, like it's, the cheap JZX, because they're still under 10 grand in like not a mint Form 1 ready to drift. So C35 Laurel, it might be coming up. Number 2, YouTubers can drive, and if you ask me, they do it for the love and not for the hype or the clout or the whatever. Let me explain. So this year, with the borders finally open back up, it was kind of like a YouTuber fest at Ebisu Drift Matsuri. And you know what? Like, why not? Like, they're getting people hyped on drifting. They're getting more people into drifting. That's what Speed Hunters and Noriaro and Luke Huxon videos from like 2007, 8, 9. That's what did it for me. So like, why can't we bring in new people through a new means? Like, I don't think it's a hype, clout, whatever thing. Like, they generally enjoy it. Like watching Adam LZ and Colette Davis drive on Nishi Short for a crazy long session, like door to door, just switching places, run after run, mixing it up with other drivers. Like, I know what it takes at this point to make a 20-minute video, and you don't have to go do 20 minutes worth of driving on Nishi Short to make a video, right? Like, if you're only there to get the clips and to get out, like, you wouldn't be running sessions like that. Iat and Koda the Yoda, they were out there as well, just running laps on each other's door. And there was probably some other like international and I don't know, people that I had no idea were even there, but they were there to drive, right? So like, let's get off it. YouTubers can drive, and I think they do it because they love it. Number 3, Z33s can hang at Ebisu. At some point, I don't know where it was or a video or whatever, but I saw and heard like Z33s just do not do well at Ebisu, and like I had wondered about this for a while because around the world they are the it chassis. Like when it comes to best bang for buck seat time car, right now anyway, or the past few years, like Z33 is gonna be at the top of the list every time, yet they're not really seen at Ebisu. Why is that? Maybe they're still a little bit expensive in Japan compared to the rest of the world. There is some of that, but performance wise and like breakage wise or whatever, reliability wise, like I think it's still a great option even if you are driving at Ebisu. Of course, the Z33 is going to hit like a performance limit if you're like an experienced driver or you just want, more than 300 horsepower. But if you're looking for like that seat time car, like it's it. Like it's got to be it. The one in our group, 0 breakages, and it trucked up the hill in Toge course chasing both the S15s in our group. They might have pulled away a little bit, but we're talking a G25 SR20 S15 and then 2867, and it held its gap. Like it did not get walked by them by any means. So a little bit heavier car, more sturdy built. I thought it was just gonna get walked, but it rips. Like I'm pretty sold at this point. Like, yeah, Z33 is the front runner for me, and they can hang at Ebisu. Number 4, on a personal cheesy note, living the Japanese dream. Man, it sounds like I'm really trying to like flex here or something like that. Not the case at all. If you had told me in like 2008 when I was like really trying to figure out how to come to Japan, like someday I'd be going to Ebisu Circuit, speaking Japanese without any extra outside support or help, like it's all on me to like communicate and do everything, like I would have told you you're probably crazy. I didn't really see that day happening, but like there we were. For me, that's like such a personal achievement. That kind of sunk in as like, man, Steve, like you can actually, you know, function in Japan. Like you can do this. Like, so it was like a little pat on the back for myself. But what I've also learned over the years is like international foreigners in Japan, like they're great or whatever. But if you want like some sense of permanency in Japan, like your foreign friends 9 times out of 10 all leave. And that's a huge bummer whenever that happens. So like if you want like a more permanent base around you, you kind of need to find like more permanent people around you. Like this was like, oh wow, like okay, maybe I'm kind of like building a network, a life here where I can, you know, have a sustainable or, you know, friends to go drifting with in the future for the foreseeable future. So yeah, just kind of like taking stock of that and living the Japanese dream, quote unquote. Number 5, the new bank track on Nishi. So last year we lost Minami. This year they built the new bank portion. I'm gonna say portion of Nishi. The bank itself, it felt more like a feature, not like, I've never ridden Irwindale's bank or something like that, but there you're kind of like starting on the straight-ish angled incline and then you're initiating through the bank and around, carrying it for a super long ways. This was kind of like more of a feature on the course where it's like you're drifting flat, you're in it, and then you're out of it. Like you're just kind of in it and out of it. So I don't know how it's going to play in the long run. I'm not sure. And just to talk about Minami now that it's the new dirt circuit form, from school, of course, I peeked down and looked at Minami, and it looked like a freaking good time. There was guys out there in like rally-ish type things, just out there, you know, chopping it up. And it looked like fun. Like, obviously, you're not going to take your Slam drift car out there and rip it around the bank track. We'll see how it goes. But Minami does look like a good time with the right vehicle. Number 6, the G25 550 on SR20 is a rowdy combination. I've seen this all over the internet. Like, so many SRs are going G25, and it, you know, it makes sense on paper, blah, 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 makes good power, fits power band. So we got like the new IT turbo for SRs. So coming into this Matsuri, Hiroshi had just finished his G25 setup on his SR and just got it kind of tuned. And like this was the first shakedown event. So he wasn't quite sure like how it was gonna go. But yeah, hopping in it for the first time for me, it was night and day different, especially from last year or any SR I'd ridden in up until this point. Last year he had an old HKS GT RS on it, which is like, you know, good old 2871, that 350 maybe 400 horsepower turbo, just like the standard bolt-on unit. And so yeah, taking like one step up from that with the G25, like it was night and day different. Like this thing pulled like a freight train. It comes on like crazy fast and it just vaporized the tires. I think he had like 245 40 17s. He really needs like 265 35 18 or something like that. Like it lit off so fast. I was like, holy cow, this is insane. With proper setup and stuff like that, the car is going to be even more of a rocket ship. Even at this Matsuri, having the experience to hop in with him and ride along and then ride on the same tracks, but in Yoshi's blue S15, which is 2867. It's smooth coming into it, but it's got a lot of punch and pull with it. But the G25, man, like it is the one where it's like, oh boy, we're going now. And like, it is just, it's trucking. It's going to be exciting to see that car dialed in, that setup, you know, like even more refined, because I was totally blown away and kind of a believer. Like the G25 on the SR20 is pretty freaking good. Number 7, Ebisu Drift Matsuri is still 100% worth it. I can't emphasize this enough. 10 years ago, it was a good deal. Even now today, it's still a good deal. Yes, cars are expensive. Yes, things are more expensive, but the amount of seat time you can get and the amount of progression you can have in such a short window, and if you're coming from abroad, if you come the week before, the daily rates are so cheap that you can just do a full week or 2 weeks or whatever, just drive and get so much experience. And then on Matsuri weekend, it's like 7 events happening at the same time. You got Higashi, the full, you know, race circuit where you can do the super high speed drifts, Toge course, North course, Nishi, which they split into the new bank track, and then you have Nishi short, and then they would run it in the FD layout for like Nishi long. So that's even like another half bonus course there. Then you have school course, then you have Kukuro land, which is just the, you know, you can do donuts for like the beginners. So what is that, like 7, 8, 9 courses, depending on their layouts, whatever you want to call it. Like there's just so much seat time, and like no matter where you are on the mountain, because it's all on a mountain and things are separated by like hills and trees and distance, and you don't know what's going on over there if you're over here. If you're at any course, you have no idea what's happening at another course, and each course when you get to it has its own vibe and stuff going on. It's just this opportunity to get like crazy amount of seat time with so many different drivers and so many really good drivers, and in so many different situations or courses or whatever it may be. There's so much variety there that you just can't duplicate that anywhere in the world. So yes, cars are expensive, but if you can make it work, if you can do it with friends, if you get a little creative, you can still have a great time at Drift Matsuri. 100% still worth the money. I'm looking forward to myself. And here's a bit of a bonus, like a 7.5, if you will, tagging onto that idea of it being 100% still worth it. One of the things I get commented or mentioned or DM'd about the most is people being like, oh man, I hope to drive Ebisu someday, or I want to drive Ebisu someday. Don't leave it as a want. Don't leave it as a hope. Like, make it a priority. I know everyone's situation is different, money's different, ability is different, country rules are different. Like, I get all that. But it's 100% up to you to make it a priority for you. Like, nobody's gonna do that for you. So if you wanna do it, make it happen. Start talking to people, start planning things. Don't buy that $15,000 sequential transmission for your drift car that you're gonna run at 4 events a year and then probably be angry because the car's broke anyway because now you have too much power and you just blew your rear end. Use that 15 grand and get yourself a Z33 and a couple plane tickets. Get over here and do some driving. Like, it's gonna be 100% worth it. And money spent on you, money spent on experience, you will never regret it. My best memories come from experience, not because of things I bought. Maybe I bought things to do things, but the experience of that is really like, that's where my most cherished memories come from, are just through experience and things that I've done. So I can't encourage you more. Like, if you have questions, please reach out to me. Leave comments below, send me a DM on Instagram. Happy to help in any way I can. Maybe someday Brickhouse will have some like rental cars ready to go. But yeah, like, don't leave it as a, I want to do that someday. Don't leave it as a bucket list item. Like, make it a priority. It's up to you to do this for yourself.